like a comet blazing across the evening sky, gone too soon, like a rainbow fading in the twinkling of an eye, gone too soon. Splendidly bright, here one day, gone one night, like the loss of sunlight on a cloudy afternoon, gone too soon. A sandy beach, gone too soon, like a perfect flower that is just beyond your reach, gone too soon.
So in 1989, Dr. David Abdullahi founded the first Shakina Clinic in Tamale in the northern area called Gurugu. In 2001, a second Shakina Clinic was established in Tamale in a southern area called Wamale. He performed his first emergency surgery under a mango tree before any of the buildings had even been finished. Today, the Shakina Clinic is critically important. Approximately 20,000 outpatients are treated every year, and around 1,000 undergo operation. He was presented the 2012 Martin Luther King Jr. Award for Peace and Social Justice by the then U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Donald Tilton, in recognition of his unwavering commitment to the poorest and most vulnerable citizens of Tamale. David Abdullahi was diagnosed with stage 4 thyroid cancer in May 2016, a known aggressive and a fast-spreading stage of the disease. His situation attracted some friends of the family to set up a GoFundMe to raise money for his medical treatment and the continued operation of his clinics. We know that there were some interventions. We'll come to that, but let me just move on to Matilda Wemaga, my colleague, who visited him back in January. So good morning, Matilda.
Good morning, Mama Lee.
So January, what took you there?
Well, on January, you remember there was the outbreak of meningitis and yellow fever in parts of the country. So we were on a tour with the Deputy Health Minister, Dr. Bampo, to assess the situation in those areas, because it appeared the three northern regions and part of Brong-Ahafo was the highest peak. So they were on a routine checks and assessing the situation. So we were in Tamale, I think, on Tuesday, assessing the situation. So just when we're done with the day's rounds and all that, a colleague of mine from the region told me about this doctor. I have heard of him, but I've not met him personally. So just there and there, I was fascinated about the things he was doing in Tamale, and we had a very limited time. We had just that evening to move to Wa the next day. So I requested he gives me his number. I called him. Within 30 minutes, he drove from wherever he was. He came to meet me at the hotel. So I asked him, I heard all this about him, and he said, yes, so many people have visited him, and he doesn't mind, he can pick me there. I was like, oh, it's late, I'm just planning with you, so I'll plan and come back later. Maybe later to come and do this story. And he said, oh, he doesn't have a problem, even though he's scheduled to have a meeting with someone, he can put that on hold. I'm a visitor, I am just going to see what he does there. So he drove us there.
And you went there with your cameras?
I went there with my cameras, and then one other colleague, Kobe Blee.
Okay.
So we sat in his car. he drove us straight to his place.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if we can, take a peek at what Matilda did back in January, the little piece that she did on him, a little of that, and we'll come back and continue this conversation.
This passion and this love for this job you're doing, it cost you your first marriage.
It does. It did. I think so. People may give all kinds of reasons, but in fact, it was because it was difficult for her to constantly live on a day-to-day basis, in my opinion, that we don't know what tomorrow is bringing. But I always said, and I still say, even though we don't know what tomorrow brings, we know who brings tomorrow. And let's trust God. It's not an easy thing. You can check it in your own life. Believing in God is one thing, trusting God is quite another. And most people do not trust God. They trust more their bank accounts.
The poor, the destitute, and the sick inspired him to touch the lives of many in Tamale. The late Dr. David Fuseni Abdullahi held firm to the belief that being a medical doctor goes far beyond curing bodies.
I'm not just being here for medical reasons. I'm being here primarily for social reasons, to make people feel that God loves them freely and unconditionally. Now, the medical conditions we usually take care of here are mentally ill people, lepers, social outcasts that nobody really wants. Some of them are beggars, not all of them are beggars, but some have been beggars. Non-Ghanaians who may be passing through and get stranded and don't want to go back home for various reasons, we've taken care of them and we've supported them, we've stayed here. In the society, what we normally do are people who are sick of various kinds. We have an outpatient unit where we see patients day in and day out. All diseases, whatever we can. I'm no specialist, but I can give the best I can to patients who choose to come this way. So we have seen that anybody who comes here is a poor person who cannot access the National Health Insurance Scheme or government healthcare or private healthcare.
He lived most of his life at Gurugu in Tamale. He calls this place Shekinah Clinic, but I prefer to call it the Home of Love after a 3-hour tour in his clinic. Dr. Abdullahi planted himself here to serve his people. He houses the homeless and the terminally ill, shielding them from the scorns of society. Shekinah Clinic is in the outskirts of Tamale, the capital of the northern region, which does not have a single psychiatric hospital. Dr. Abdullahi looked after these forgotten patients, feeding, housing, caring for them for free.
The desire to be fulfilled, the desire to find real inner peace. That is my motivation.
You're not being paid for all this.
Why do you need a salary for? You tell me, why do you use the salary for?
Maybe to take care of myself, my family.
Why would you want to take care of yourself and your family? So that you can be happy.
Yeah.
So if I can find this happiness without a salary, what is your problem, madam?
So the motivation for you is just seeing people happy.
Yes, my motivation, let me say, is very selfish. I want to find joy, and joy can never be got anywhere outside giving another person the same thing. You just reap what you sow. If you give somebody joy, you get back. If you give somebody misery, you get back misery.
How do you keep this running if you're doing all this by yourself? You are doing it all by yourself. How do you keep it going?
I do not do it all by myself. I do it with the support of God. I believe in divine providence. It is this belief that has kept me going. I trust that God is omnipotent, God is omniscient, God is omnipresent. He can do anything. So when we have a basic need, I tell the Lord about it. And God often and for nearly has always provided all our basic needs, more than we ever anticipated or expected. But I got to a point where I felt it was necessary to stop this. When the National Health Insurance Scheme was started, I had hoped everybody would be roped in, everybody would be, would be part of it. Then I said, in that respect, the health aspect of our social services would be finished. Would only concentrate on the very poor and destitute people. But up to now, we still do quite a bit of operations and see patients. But I've never really regretted. I've never gotten to a point where didn't have volunteers. Never gotten to a point where I felt, why did I get into this? I don't remember any moment. It's only one instance when we didn't have money. to do what we our daily food rounds for the mentally ill. And my wife said, we have no money for this mom to take care of the food program. We call it the food program when we give meals to people. And I laughed and said, who asked us to do it? We said we're depending on divine providence.
The late doctor also fed the mentally ill on the streets of Gurugu and never disappointed with his annual Christmas parties. This year, there was a vigorous social media campaign to get financial support for the good doctor who was battling stage 4 thyroid cancer and struggling with medical expenses. On the orders of the President John Dramani Mahama on Wednesday, August 10, he was airlifted to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital in Accra. The late doctor requested to be brought home to the northern region and died on Sunday, 2nd October at the Tamale Teaching Hospital, where he was receiving medical attention. Following his death, the future of this serene clinic and the fate of its inhabitants are in limbo. Dr. Abdullahi undoubtedly made his mark, but will it be washed away in the sands of time? For Joy News, Matilda from Magan.
Please, one more.
And that's the beautiful wife he left behind. But there's a question you asked Matilda, what's going to happen to the clinics that he's left behind? That has been answered. But just, your thoughts, where were you when you heard he had died, and how do you feel doing the story on him before he passed?
When I first heard about his illness, that was in August. I wasn't in the office then. I remember I was also sick, so I called his wife, and then she told me that he's responding well to treatment. It was later I got to know there was a whole social media campaign which was organized by Kobe Blay and Nana Aweri and then a few other guys to raise funds for him. And one thing I feel sad about is that I was unable to fulfill the promise I made to him. I remember that that evening, after we left his place, I called him and I told him, Doc, do you know what? When I come to Accra, I'm going to organize things and then we'll bring it back to you. And he said, oh, his doors are always open. But I'm sure it's not too late.
No, it's not.
Yes.
It's not, because the clinics are very operational today. But thank you, Matilda, for sharing this piece with us and your encounter with the late Dr. Abdullahi. Please fulfill your promise. Now you've said it on television, everybody has heard you. Thank you, Matilda, for being here. Hashmin Mohammed, our colleague up north, is trying to answer the question of what's going to happen to the clinics that the late doctor left behind. What's up with the family? Please watch this.
Doctor, normally what time does he start work?
As for Doc, he doesn't have a specific time he starts work. Any time, because he can be, sometimes you will still be sleeping and he will leave the house. Latest, devoid of problems at home, latest by 6:30, 7 o'clock, he's out of the house. But most of the time, by 5 o'clock, he's out.
And return at what time?
They give him no specific time. It can be in the night, depending on the load on his head.
Okay, our clinic will cease to exist again.
Inshallah. With the help of all concerned people in our lives and in the life of Doctor. I remember in his sick bed, when people were interrogating him about what would happen to the clinic in case something of this nature happened to him. I remember severally telling them that I started this work with God, and the same God, and with the sincerity in which I started with this work, the same God will see it through.
What do you remember most about your husband?
His selflessness. Doc was a selfless man. Who could sacrifice his own happiness for others. Yes. No matter what, when you put it in and he realizes I have more than 2 shirts, more than 2 trousers, he will give the rest out.
Well, I am handing you over the microphone now. I do know that Doc is with you in spirit. I want you to talk directly to Doc.
Doc, I do know you love me and I love you too. And I remember in your sick bed you told me, Mariama, be strong. I'm going. It's my body that is leaving you, but my spirit and soul will stay with you forever. I love you very much here, and I will love you over there. Doc, I know last day when you had your last breath, you held my hand tight. You were looking up. I could see the joy in your face. I know you are happy where you are because you did right. And what you wrote was that you said, to all those who love me, you should celebrate my death and not mourn me.
I remember a lot. And everything was, there was nothing that was little to me. He told us to have faith in God. And as my mom said, let the will of the Lord be done in my life. Don't direct God. He told us he was peaceful, so we should be peaceful. We shouldn't mourn him, we should celebrate him. Anytime I went to the hospital, he raised his hand and did this, Nagama, which means one God. He told us to look up to God in all our dealings. That is what we are doing.
Are you a student?
Yes, please.
What course are you?
I'm offering nutrition.
Nutrition.
At UDS.
Do you have any intention of emulating the lifestyle of your dad?
Yes, please.
And what do you intend to do to celebrate your dad? How will you celebrate your dad?
I would celebrate my dad by living an example to others just as he left an example to us. Not just simplicity, not just selflessness, but helping others just like he helped others. Making people feel loved and welcome just as he did. We will do the same way and preach to people to also live the same life.
But do you see a reflection of your dad's lifestyle in you?
Yeah, I see him to be an exceptional human being, and I can't be just as the way he is because I feel there's no match to him. He is the only one with the only footprints. I can't match up to his footprints, but I see this kind of giving lifestyle in him. When I see people in need, I break down. And I have gone with him several times in his doings, and sometimes when I see him, the way he feels about it, it makes me feel bad too. So I feel like helping people just like he helps people in so many ways. There are so many ways we can help people, not just the way he took. He made us know that we can help people in so many ways.
So this is the kitchen of Shekinah Clinic. This is where food is prepared. Here, that is moringa leaves, which is said to be very, very nutritious. The woman here tells me that even though doctor is no more there, they still cook. And within the last 2 days or so, they still feed the mentally challenged here and then outside Tamale. And in a day, they feed not less than 100 mental challenged and destitute here in the Tamale metropolis.
Doctor will go and make sure that the walls are washed and was left there. And then he continuously repeated. He would defecate and use his hands and smear it on the wall. Then they will come, clean the place, wash him up, leave him. And the patient had love for banana and granules. In the clinic, they don't provide banana and granules for the patients, but doctor had to make sure that the granules and the bananas for this particular patient were always available. Then doctor started communicating with the patient and was able to show the patient where the toilet was. And when he took the patient there, after he eased himself and doctor said they should go back to the ward, he said he wouldn't go. And then doctor was able to now know that the reason why this patient was smearing the walls with the feces was that he liked the odor. It gave him some sensation. And so he decided to position himself somewhere near the toilet, and it was made comfortable for him. And then when you bring him his banana and granules, he will be so excited, he will be laughing and waving at you. Who on this earth will admit a patient in a ward and that patient will defecate and use it and smear the walls, not once, not twice, not every day, and the person will continue to keep that patient in that facility? If not Dr. David Abdullahi. And he was so close to the patients. There is no any patient that he didn't have direct contact with. He had every contact direct with them one-on-one, and he had time for each of them. So I think that we've lost a great man, and a vacuum has been created. But let me say that the work at the clinics, by the grace of God, will continue. The feeding of the poor, the deprived, and the others on the streets of Tamale will also continue. And we pray that God gives the family, the wife, the children, and everybody the strength, the courage, and the fortitude to bear the pain and also to continue with his good works.
And I have a message from Yakubu in Thailand. Yakubu says, Ghana has really lost a great person and he must be remembered every day, every week, every month, every year, like Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah has been remembered. We only remember him within the time he's gone. And I give you less than a year and people will forget about him, which is normal of Ghanaians. Yakubu in Thailand, thanks for the message. But Dr. David Abdullahi, definitely a very good man. And I've been asking my question, why would we lose such a person at this time? A man who set up 2 clinics up north to treat patients for free. But the good news is the clinics are still operating very much. May his soul continue to rest in peace. And I know that because he was a good man, he's resting in the good place. May we continue to celebrate Dr. David Abdullahi. We wish the family well, and we appeal to every person who still wants to support the 2 clinics up north to do so. Matilda Wemaga made a promise, and I'm going to make sure that she carries through the promise. Stay with us. We've got AM Talk coming up next here on our show.
like a comet blazing across the evening sky. Gone too soon, like a rainbow fading in the twinkling of an eye. Gone too soon. Shiny and sparkly and splendidly bright, here one day, gone one night. Like the loss of sunlight on a cloudy afternoon.